welcome back to the weekly wrap. Let's get straight into it. So as you guys can see, we've got another big week for you guys, and there's all the logos and there's all the companies or manufacturers that we will be talking through or talking about this week. So without further ado, this is episode 11, 24th of August. Let's get straight into it. So first things first. Now, no pictures here. It does look a little boring and it's more text heavy, but I'm going to talk you guys through. So Ampol, and the reason why Ampol is here on this week's news is because you can see there Power Grid foils Ampol's big EV charger plans. So originally, and basically I've got the headlines over here in bold writing, so those are the 5 key points based on the news article from Financial Review. But they're saying they originally had a goal of 300 charging bays at petrol stations and large shopping centres by this year. And then the chief executive Matt Halliday told investors that the rollout had been slower than we'd expected. They essentially started the year with 82 bays in Australia. There's currently 92, and they have 36 bays awaiting power. And the key bit to look at is over here. They're saying that Ampol's expansion of its EV fast charging network is delayed due to difficulties in connecting to the power grid, pushing the target of 300 charging bays to 2025. So they're essentially looking at going tripling their numbers, essentially, because right now they're saying there's 92, there's still 36 that haven't even been connected yet, so they're not even at 100 yet. They want to aim for 300, but it's 2025, so nowhere near that yet. So it's a bit of a shame that they've had these issues, but that kind of leads me to the next one. So I'm not going to cover too much more on Ampol, but the reason why I thought this one was odd was because the next one, and again it's only a quick snapshot of Evie Networks. So Evie has been growing and expanding like no tomorrow, and if you guys remember a couple of weeks ago I did do a video, and I did also show you guys about the EV's auto charge. So that feature has worked flawlessly on cars that do have a dynamic MAC address. More information on that in one of the videos that I've done before, so make sure you have a look at that if you haven't before. But the one thing that I wanted to call out from Evie Networks is, it says here, the company now has 676 charging bays at 266 sites and isn't concerned about grid capacity constraints or slow down EV sales, and it plans to roll out another 400 chargers, that is, at 106 sites this financial year. So you know, we've just started the new financial year. We're 1 month or month and a half into it. So within the next 11 months, they're looking at rolling out 400. So fantastic news for EV drivers. But yeah, that kind of made me feel like it was odd because, again, this article here, as you can see, was also from Financial Review, afr.com. And so on one hand, you see an article where Ampol says they've got difficulties, but then on the other hand, you see Evie Networks going full steam ahead. Let's just keep rolling out more. So who knows? They're clearly doing something right. But yeah, that's essentially the chargers, or two of the charging companies. So let's move on to the next one. Amber. So this person on X, a shout out to Alex McEwen. Basically, it looks like a bunch of screenshots. Essentially, there's 3 screenshots, and then there's a bit of information here on the right. Long story short is we're talking about Amber Electric. And so they've essentially got their version of Charge HQ, which is essentially charging on solar and automation to match your solar feeding, your solar production to charge your car. And so you can pause the screen here if you guys want to look at the screenshots in more details. But long story short is, here's a couple of screenshots on things around when you'll charge, recovery charge, opportunity charge, excess solar, and then there's a comparison that Alex has put over here, where you can essentially see what Charge HQ offers versus what Amber for EVs offers over here. So yeah, that looks quite interesting. It's fantastic to see that they've done something similar to what Charge HQ offers, and on the other hand, I was one of the early adopters of Charge HQ, and I hope they're steering their ship in the right direction, and I hope they're okay and they'll pull out of this. But yeah, that's essentially Amber Electric. Now let's move on to some cars and some manufacturers. So Volkswagen. So supposedly the headline from that drive.com.au is Volkswagen Australia announces a new model onslaught. So you can see over here, Volkswagen Australia has confirmed it will launch 8 new models over the next 12 months, including several electric vehicles and performance cars. Now that is exciting. I'm an absolute diehard Volkswagen fan, or Volkswagen Group fan. They've made fantastic cars, and hopefully their electric cars, once they come, they're going to be good too. So I've never driven one, haven't been overseas, haven't driven one, never seen one in person as well, but knowing the brand, I do hope they do well. Either way, some other information that I'll read off here that I've typed up. So Volkswagen says Australian delivered ID4 Pro variants currently in production and will arrive in local showrooms from December 2024, so pretty much by Christmas. So this blue one here is the ID4. You've then got the Australian delivered ID5, the GTX models, which is the top spec. They are currently in production and also expected to be in showrooms from December 2024, which is this one over here. And then it says both the People Mover and the commercial van ID Buzz models. So this is the People Mover ID Buzz, also going to launch in December 2024. The other thing they're saying is the Volkswagen ID Buzz GTX, so the performance version of this People Mover, has been confirmed for a local launch, but will follow in the second quarter of 2025, which is essentially 2025 April to June. So still a while away. This here potentially looks pretty sporty. I'm thinking that might be the GTX model, but yeah, let me know what you guys think. Do you love the Volkswagen brand? Do you think they're good? Not? I know everyone's got their opinions. Everyone's totally welcome for it, but I think it looks like a pretty cool and pretty funky car. Hopefully it doesn't come in the 5-seater version only, and hope it comes in at least a 7 or an 8. I think it looks like a really cool funky car. Alright, let's move on. The Volkswagen T7 Transporter. So the 2025 T7 Transporter EV and plug-in hybrid or PHEV vans are locked in for Australia. So some of the commentary let me read out to you. So it's going to arrive here third quarter of 2025. It'll come in the BEV, which is just the battery or fully electric. You've also got the plug-in hybrid, which is a PHEV. You've also got the ICE or the internal combustion diesel engine option. We really only care about the first one, which is the full battery equivalent. But yeah, that was essentially it. And so Volkswagen Australia's product and PR communications manager Daniel D. Gasperi confirmed the new generation Transporter will be out in Australia around this time next year, so probably 12 months away. And they're saying they can confirm that it will be in ICE, BEV and PHEV form. You can see up here where I've highlighted, it seems like at this point in time the battery there's only going to be one battery size, which is 64 kilowatt hours. Range TBC, but there will be 3 variations in terms of the power for the motors: 100 kilowatts, 160 and 210. Give us the 210 any day of the week. More power, better. That's all I have to say. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. It looks quite sporty actually in terms of this one up here, but it's not the production version, so until that time comes, everything is a concept. Now let's continue moving through. Changan Deepal S07. So roughly a month ago I showed you guys these 2 photos from Car Expert, and basically it was spotted on the M4 in Sydney, and I was saying that the logo for Deepal kind of looked like the Cupra logo, so people may potentially have been mixed up. Either way, that was just the only time that it was spotted. And then in the electric vehicles for Australia group, so full credit to Will Knott, who's been posting some of these information. So the Deepal S07 received the AU ADR approval status, so that was just earlier this week. And he also does confirm that they've put effort into it to say that there is a 1,500 kilogram braked towing capacity. And for the reasons why he's posted this, because I did put a comment on there, was that a lot of EVs these days actually put up as 0 for ADR, but they've actually gone out and done whatever it is they need to do, and they've got approval for 1,500 kilograms of braked towing capacity. So it's fantastic news as far as I'm aware. And thanks again, Will Not, for putting that approval up. And so government documents obviously show that it's approved. 160 kilowatts is the headline with 1,500 kilograms of towing capacity. There's not much more that we know about this car at this point in time. And so, yeah, when we find out more, I'll keep you guys posted. And now the next thing, the Farizon Supervan. So Farizon, again, this is a company that you may not have heard of before. And this is full credit again to Will Knott from Electric Vehicles for Australia Facebook page or Facebook group. Geely Holdings, commercial vehicle brand, Farizon or Farizon. They've essentially had their first electric van approved for Australian roads. And so it was recently also spotted in Sydney, so you guys may recognise, or the ones that are in Sydney or know of Sydney may potentially recognise the Accor Stadium out in Sydney Olympic Park, and that's probably our Australian parking signs. Or maybe just Sydney parking signs. Either way, it was recently spotted in Sydney, and supposedly there are 10 different model variations with a few different wheelbase options as well, low or high roof versions with rear glass and without, and there's 2,000 kilogram braked towing capacity, so it's really good. And also decent battery size, 82 kilowatt hours. And then Will did actually put a comment there to say that these vans in particular will be of interest to people who want camper vans due to the unique construction that allows for a very low load floor height and no A-pillar between the driver's door and the cargo door. And look, from what I can see, I think the back over here looks like there's big entrance, and it does look like a pretty tall car as well. So, I mean, I'm not a camping person, but it does look like I could build a pretty cool camping van out of that. And yeah, I'm all for competition, so bring it on. Alright, let's get moving on to the next one. Alright, the Rimac Nevera R. So, as if you didn't think the Rimac Nevera was already fast enough, they've now released another top version, or the Nevera R. So, what's the headlines? So, they're saying powerful performance, lightning fast acceleration. So, they're saying there's improved torque vectoring. So, engineers have focused on enhancing the advanced four-wheel driving torque vectoring system for better traction and stability during high-speed cornering. Aero and suspension upgrades as well. So the Nevera R features an overhauled suspension setup, negative camber for the front wheels, Michelin Cup 2 tyres, and there's a new staggered wheel design. And look at that over here. That looks absolutely amazing. And it says here the body has also been upgraded with aerodynamic enhancements. Now there is a limited production, so only 40 examples of these will be made. And each one is priced at US $2.5 million, which equates to roughly $3.7 million Australian. And so some of the other stats you can see there on the car. 1,571 kilowatts, which is roughly 2,107 horsepower. It's a 108 kilowatt hour battery, top speed 412 kilometers. And in Australia, the one we care about is 0 to 100 in 1.81 seconds, and a full quarter mile run, 8.23. So all crazy big stats, and yeah, there's only going to be 40 in the world, so who knows, we may potentially see, we do have a couple of big car collectors here in Australia, so we may potentially see one of these come one day. So yeah, it'd be exciting times, and as always, I'll keep you guys posted when I hear more about this car. Alright, another car from overseas. So this one is called Fang Cheng Bao. So this is a BYD brand, and they focus essentially more on the rugged models with ample ground clearance and boxier appearance, as you can see here with the upcoming Bao 3 model. So it is an EV only model. It's supposed to take on the RAV4, so Toyota RAV4 size, and it's got a 110 kilowatt motor powering the front axle and a 220 kilowatt unit for the rear, so total combined about 330 kilowatts. It does have a rough 0 to 100 time of 5 seconds, or sub 5 seconds. It's also got a 78.72 kilowatt hour LFP battery, supposedly do about 510 kilometers, and yeah, and that 510, sorry, I didn't write it there, but it is on China's CLTC testing cycle, so I would say in the low 400s potentially, or mid 400s, if you're talking about real world range. Now, this information here was all taken from Car Expert, so they did put a comment down the bottom which says here, neither BYD or EV Direct, which is the Chinese company's Australian distributor, have officially announced plans to launch the Fang Cheng Bao brand in local showrooms. But again, if this does come, then it means there's absolutely more competition for that size or that type of rugged car. And yeah, competition's always welcome. It does seem to have some fairly good specs, and I mean, for a car the size of a RAV4, 330 kilowatts, that can go off-road. That's going to be pretty fun. Alright, let's move on to the next one. So now we've got Subaru e-Outback, or e-Outback. So a recent trademark filing in Japan, actually this was just a couple of days ago, on the 20th, you can see there, has pointed Subaru Outback potentially going electric. So this potentially could be the brand's second EV. Now, when it says E, it doesn't necessarily mean it's fully electric. It could potentially be hybrid too. It just means that they are going to have battery technology in it. So there's no specific ETA, but Subaru has confirmed that they are saying that they want to bring 3 electric SUVs to the market by 2026. So right now is, August in 2024. So they've still got a fair bit of time, but to release 3 electric cars out in the market for a company that's currently just got one, which is the Subaru Solterra, yeah, they've got a bit of work to do. So in my eyes, I guess the question is going to be, because it's E for e-Outback, my question would be, is it going to be hybrid or full EV? Is this going to be developed or co-developed with Toyota, similar to what they originally did with the Toyota 86 and the Subaru BRZ, and how they've actually released the electric car, which is the Subaru Solterra, which is also the Toyota BZ4X. So that's all the information there is at the moment. So once I find out more, I'll let you guys know. Alright, let's move on to the next one. Dongfeng Nammi box. That's a pretty funky name, the Nammi box. Anyways, so Dongfeng apparently is one of China's largest car makers, and they are also one of few that we have not heard of an expansion yet into Australia. Now I say yet because this is apparently one of China's largest car makers, and you know, we've seen brands like Geely or Geely, however you pronounce that. We've seen that Geely launch quite heavily into the Australian market again, so it'd be interesting to see if we get this one here. Either way, there's no confirmed Australian expansion yet. In terms of size, so obviously it looks like quite a small size car. In terms of EV rivals, GWM Aura, BYD Dolphin, Hyundai Insta, and the Insta is obviously the one that's not here yet. And then, yeah, so in Switzerland, which is a notoriously expensive country, supposedly, the Nammi box starts at 21,990 Swiss francs, which roughly works out to be $38,000 Australian. And they're saying that it's going to be similar to the Hyundai Insta, which I just mentioned, shorter than a Mazda 2 hatchback and thinner than a Toyota Yaris. And there's the specs there: 42 kilowatt hours, 310 kilometers. I'm not too sure what testing cycle 310 is, and it's got a single 70 kilowatt electric motor. So small battery, decent range. I'm sure it'd be a fantastic car to get around the city and the suburbs as you need. So yeah, there's not much more information that we have at the moment. As I said, it's not even confirmed for Australia, but it is definitely a car that is coming. So yeah, watch your space. Alright, Xiaomi SU7 Ultra. Now, you guys may recall I had this exact slide a couple of weeks ago. This is essentially the Chinese Porsche Taycan GT rival. The CEO Lei Jin has confirmed that this is going to be sent into productions early next year, which means that it is set to arrive into Chinese showrooms first quarter of 2025. How exciting! So some additional points: because of the crazy fast speeds and the extreme high power and the ability to go that fast for a lightweight car at 1,900 kilograms, they are saying buyers won't be able to access the full potential of the Ultra until they pass a set of exams programmed into the car. And this was what the CEO, Mr. Jin, said on a live stream. So they're saying each Ultra will be delivered in beginner mode, requiring new owners to gradually unlock the full performance of the car. So it looks like you'll be doing it in stages, and then you'll be able to unlock or unleash all of the power. So it won't be available from the get-go because they probably don't want you to wrap it around a pole. So yeah, that's really exciting to see, and you know, I'd be really interested to see a performance car like this. What is the price point going to be, considering how crazy fast it is? But yeah, when I find out more, I'm sure I'll keep you guys in the loop. So let's jump on to the last big one before we head into social media updates. So Caterham Project V. Now, Caterham was traditionally known for their Super 7 or their Caterham 7, which is this car over here. Essentially, it was a lightweight vehicle that you can see pretty much is a chassis. You've got the engine in the front and it's rear-wheel drive. Now the engine in the front is actually sits behind the front axles, so it is pretty well balanced. But they've essentially got this really cool new looking car over here, which is the Project V. So supposedly this is a new concept and it's intended to preview its first electric car, which apparently could arrive in showrooms in 2025 or 2026. So let me read out some of the specs or information that I've got from the internet. So it says here, Project V, the coupe concept houses an unconventional 2+1 seating arrangement, 2 seats in the front and 1 in the rear, and is powered by a 200 kilowatt electric motor on the rear axle. The car maker claims the concept is estimated to cover 0 to 100 in under 4.5 seconds and can reach a top speed of 230 kilometers per hour. In terms of specs, they're saying 55 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery. In terms of range, roughly 400 kilometers, and they're saying it could get 20% to 80% charge in 15 minutes using a 150 kilowatt DC rapid charger. What do you guys think of this car? I think it looks very, very, very nice. There's not much more I can say to it. I'd really like to see this one come to life. It's a beautiful looking car. Alright, let's jump onto some social media updates, shall we? So, over here in the US, you'll see that there's new US pricing and EPA range for its new ID Buzz EV, which is the people mover van that I covered off earlier that we haven't even got here in Australia yet. So, it'd be really interesting to see what we end up getting here in Australia. And the next one we've got here is the Cybertruck. As you guys know, it's doing the whole Australian tour, the Down Under tour. It's apparently been spotted crossing the Nullarbor Plain, which is a really, really long straight. So it looks like it's headed to Perth. So if you're in Perth, I'm sure you'll see it soon. And the last one here is basically from Seoul, Korea. So the government is essentially saying now they want to mandate that EVs should not be charged over 90% to enter underground parking garages. And they're saying that because supposedly it's a fire concern and that they want to mandate that, which means that if you're even 91% or you're over the 90, they don't want to let you in. So it'd be interesting to see how they're going to mandate that. So, you know, in Australia we have a lot of car parks where you just push the button, you get the ticket. So how are they going to manage that? Do they always have someone that mans the parking stations or the parking garages or the big car parks? I don't know. But yeah, I don't know if this is the best thing to see through media at the moment, on top of a lot of other things. And again, I'm not an EV safety expert. It's probably something that I should look into just so I understand more and I can share it with you guys. But look, what do you guys think? Do you think that's actually crazy or not? Look, from my view, I don't understand it too much, but I do know that they say LFP batteries, you know, you should charge it to 100%. So that kind of goes against cars being at 90%, because what if you live in the city, as an example, and you need to go into the car park and you charge your car to 100? What's that mean? But yeah, that's essentially it. So that takes us to the end of it. Again, as always, thank you so much for tuning in. If you did enjoy it, give it a like, subscribe for more content, and I'll see you soon in another one.